change, I really couldn't say. In this life there's nothing certain, except the curtain that rises to the stage. Silly games of second guessing, I just forget the lessons that I couldn't learn. Because one street over there's a life I could have known that would have kept me from the one I had today. Time's gone by, I've traded like dirt into play. I thought my memories would end. One street over's now 1,000 miles away. When I close my eyes, I'm back to where I've been. In this life there's nothing certain, except the curtain that rises to the stage. Silly games of second guessing, I just forget the lessons that I couldn't learn. Because one street over there's a life I could have known that would have kept me from the one I had today. I took a walk one street over from my home, cracked and broken asphalt everywhere. I could have ended up just like that broken road, with a dead end in my path. Thank the Lord that I've got more than that. In this life there's nothing certain, except the curtain that rises to the stage. Silly games of second guessing, I won't forget the lessons that I don't deserve. Because one street over there's a life I could have known that would have kept me from the one I love today.
Good morning, Robertson County. How you doing? This is 1100 WSGI. I'm U-Turn Laverne. This is one street over, a chance for us to see what's happening one street over from where you're living. We'd love to do that. And of course, we've got to say, first thing right out of the gate, happy Valentine's Day. That's not a day that I spend a whole lot of time thinking about, but I did wear my red because, I mean, we kind of have to at school now that I'm a teacher. It is required. I see you have on a shade of red there. How about you, John? You got on like a, yeah, you got your Bucky shirt on there. Now, Miss Nancy, you're in here in yellow. Are you just anti-Valentine? Get on that microphone for me.
The gold and white.
I'm gold and white.
Oh, she's for the Springfield. What am I thinking? What we're here to talk about. That's what you see. You did better than all of us. Here's what we're doing today, guys. This is going to be a lot of fun. The book is coming out tomorrow. Tomorrow's the real estate. Now I'm gonna get you to get on that microphone and we'll say hi to everybody around the room. But this is coming out. This book about Coach Boyce Smith is coming out tomorrow. My friend Danny Atchley didn't even bother to mention it to me. My student John Cohea had to mention it to me. John, when you want to say hi, go ahead and pull that microphone over. John is one of my students.
Hello.
How are you doing, young man?
Good.
You're excited about being in here, right?
Yes, ma'am.
It was so funny. Yesterday he goes, Miss Vivio, when am I supposed to call you on radio? And I said, well, you can call me Laverne, you can call me U-Turn, or you can call me Miss Vivio, whatever you decide. So you have permission to do that, okay? So go ahead and pull that over there to you.
Okay.
So am I good? Okay, before we introduce everybody else, am I an okay teacher?
Yeah.
Am I okay?
Yeah.
I ask them all the time, please forgive me because I'm learning. But here's what we're doing. John told me, I had Danny in. Danny Atchley's here. Hi. I didn't say hi to you yet.
Hi.
But
Glad to be here.
so Danny was here last week because we were promoting the play, which we're going to talk about. We're going to talk a little bit about that. We got the whole hour, y'all. So hang on. So I'm talking about having Danny in, and John just starts talking about this book. because I mean he watches the show. He is as much as he can, and so he starts talking about. I'm like, what are you talking about? A book? And he had been working with Miss Nancy on this, and you have been working on it.
Yeah.
And we talked a little bit about the coach. I didn't know any of this story. What a wonderful story! But thank you, John. He's going to have to be my producer and help book my show now because
There you
he's
go.
keeping me up to date.
Yeah.
So I do appreciate so much you telling me all about this. Okay, so who wants to start? We've got a book coming out tomorrow. We'll talk about the play. Do you want to just kind of unpack everything for us? Because, I mean, you're a pro. So why don't you unpack all this for us?
But, all right, you mentioned the play. Let's
Yeah.
just go
Okay.
and touch on that. And that is, and I'm going to wear two hats in here. I'm involved not only with the Robertson County Historical Society, which is producing an evening with Miss Lena and Mr. Patterson, but I'm also on the board of directors with the Coach Boyce Smith Scholarship Fund, along with Miss Nancy here. But all right, so that's the Coach Boyce Smith Scholarship Fund. We'll get back to that in a minute, but let's get an evening with Miss Lena and Mr. Patterson out of the way.
Okay.
Because that's coming up immediately too. It's coming up. We're going to be opening Thursday night at 7:00 p.m. at the Innovation Academy, formerly Springfield Middle School, formerly Springfield High School auditorium. And this is a production that was put together by myself and a couple other people, and it's being produced by the Robertson County Historical Society. And Miss Nancy actually has been very involved in that, putting together a program for us. In other words, a playbill that and has done an exceptionally good job. She's a terrific graphic artist, as demonstrated by the book that she's helped co-write, the Coach Boyce Smith Springfield Yellow Jackets, 1928 to 1972. But back to the play. We open Thursday night at 7 o'clock, and then we also are going to be open on Friday night at 7 o'clock, Saturday night at 7 o'clock, and then Sunday afternoon at 2 p.m. And an evening with Miss Lena and Mr. Patterson. It's all about the life stories of Lena Bransford, who was the namesake for Bransford Elementary School, as well as Bransford High School, later Bransford High School, and then also the soon-to-be Bransford Community Center, which will be opening up hopefully within the next year. I know they've broken
So
ground.
exciting.
So, and that's going to be a benefit to everybody, not just in the African American community, but all of Springfield. In fact, all of Robertson County. This has been something that that's been in the planning stages for quite a while, and now is going to come to fruition. And part of the proceeds from an evening with Miss Lena and Mr. Patterson will go to the funding of the Bransford Community Center. So we're excited about that. I've given the dates. Tickets are on sale now. You can go online at www.robertsoncountyhistoricalsociety.com, or you can come by the museum, which is open Wednesday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m., and you can buy your tickets there. Adult tickets are $15, and we also have a special ticket price for students up to age 18. It's a pay-what-you-can ticket, so don't let ticket prices or anything hinder you from coming to see this. And we've got two really extraordinary actors who are portraying Miss Lena and Mr. Patterson. Miss Lena is being portrayed by Tamisha Martin, who is a African-American actress, and she's as good as anybody you're ever going to see. I mean, I'm telling you, she could be on Broadway. Gary Knoll, a longtime Robertson County player, actor, he's going to be playing Mr. Patterson. And again, another great actor, and it's amazing. In fact, I read the speech, I Dare You, that Mr. Patterson wrote in 1947 to the Bransford graduating class, and it still is powerful even today, 60 plus years later. So that's pretty much all I can tell you about the play, other than please come see it. We're excited about it. It's also going to have music. It's a drama, but I call it a drama with music. Nutia Davis, who is a singer, songwriter, composer, she's written some original music just for the show, and it's good stuff. It's really good stuff.
I think it's wonderful, and they are going to record it so they can show it to the. I know they are videotaping it, right?
They are going to record it, and it'll be available in the schools. Now there may be
schools, right?
We've James T. Marshall and his team are going to come down and film a Friday night performance. And it'll be from beginning to end, and this will be something that will be available for teachers to use all over Robertson County.
That's wonderful.
I might add, Thursday morning at about 9:45, we are bringing in 8th grade students from all over Robertson County, and they'll be able to see a preview of the show at the Innovation Academy in Springfield.
I love it. I just think it's wonderful, and we even did some little videos in the AV, and so I'll share those with you later in the week. But it's just it's a wonderful project. I love that y'all are doing this, and the more I learned about them as we were putting this together for the audio video, I was fascinated by them, and I think it's wonderful.
Again, it's part of our celebration of Black History Month with the Robertson County Historical Society. Janet Palmore, our museum director, she's put together an exhibit on Mr. Patterson, on Lena Bransford, on Dr. Raines, who was the first African-American doctor here in Springfield, and then also a salute to Bransford High School, which is it's a neat exhibit and display.
Well, we're going to put them up at Greenbrier too, the signs that we did with AV, and then we'll also promote the evening that you've got going on the play. So we've got those posters going up today.
Excellent. Okay.
And so with that said, that's what opened up the whole door to talk about this, and you talked a little bit about Coach when you were in last week.
I did.
But there's so much more to say. So what in the world started this project, Nancy? Why don't you take it over here and go ahead and pull that microphone down to you, and what started this?
Walter Ray Kleinard.
Pull that right up to you if you don't mind.
Walter Ray Kleinard called me one day and said that he wanted to put up a mural for Coach Smith. Mm-hmm. So I used to people calling me to do things like that. And so I met him, and we measured and we looked, and then it didn't suit to go on that wall, but we did get it on the wall out at the high school, Springfield. And real talented Eric Bass painted it, the same guy that did the mural on 7th Avenue down here. And did a wonderful job. And after that, we started meeting, trying to thinking about how we were going to raise money. And Gene Beck brought in a printed out Xeroxed copy of something that Coach had actually written. Okay. And it is the years 1928 through 72, the years that he was there coaching. And that's in the section of the book. That's one whole section, because it's in his own handwriting. But I had to type it so we could read it. And then I took time to find photographs that went with the teams.
Oh, that's wonderful.
And that way you can, and if it was a special something, Coach would make a note about it, and I put that in there. Got the names identified on most of the football players, not all of them, but maybe people can help me do that. And then after we got the notebook, that tape came up. Gene brought a tape in, and it just floored me because it has Coach's voice on it.
Oh, wow.
Now, when I was in high school, I wasn't afraid of him, but I didn't have him for a class.
He was intense, I guess.
One of those fellows that was busy, and you didn't just speak to "Hey, Coach" in the hall.
Yeah,
you know, I didn't. I'm sure a lot of others did, but anyway, that tape was so magnificent. I mean, the sound of it, his voice, and Ed, my brother-in-law, who is my partner in crime on this book, has the ability and knowledge to take a tape and turn it into a digital file. You know? So he did that and ran it through something that was supposed to catch a lot of the words, but it was like gobbledygook, you know, it was still hard to do. But we figured it out, and with John's help, I sent him.
So what did John do? That's what I want to understand.
John
I'm gonna get
you. He helped with the transition, of the tape into Word. You know. And I sent him a copy of what I had so far, and it was mostly blanks, and then the tape. And he listened to it, and he just mainly John's job was he would call me or text me or say something on Facebook. How's the book? And at that time, some crazy thing had just happened, like Ed got sick and went to the hospital or something, and I would tell him my problems, you know. So he's been my rock through this, and I don't know. He just encouraged me along the way, all the way. 3 years I've been working on this.
Wow.
But it could have been 2 more and been a lot better.
Oh, you're funny.
But there's a page in here that kind of apologizes for anything I didn't include, and it says
This looks so. I mean, let me get right.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
This looks. I mean, I've looked through it real quick. I can't imagine that anybody would think, oh, well, she left this out. This is so exhaustive and so beautiful, and just I don't know the man, but if you were to, I can't imagine the work that went into this, and so I can't imagine anybody going, well, she left that out. Shame on you. Help her. It may be the next edition you can include it, because but
Edward covered that with this right here.
The Man in the Arena. I love
Right.
that. Okay. The Man in the Arena.
You'll need to read that.
Okay.
It's-
I cannot wait to get my hands on this book, because this is something I'm going to give to my guys, because just you telling me about this man, this is a man that my boys can learn something from through
Oh, yeah.
this. I don't have any doubt. I don't have any doubt just from what you've told me.
The cool thing about Coach Smith and what we've been talking about earlier with Mr. Patterson and Miss Lena Bransford was they were contemporaries. They knew each other.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
They knew each other, and Coach Smith. You have to remember he coached from 1928 to 1972. So that's
incredible.
44 years of coaching football.
1928 to 72.
And, yeah.
That's
And
amazing.
He wasn't from Springfield. He wasn't from
Yeah.
Robeson County. He was from Mississippi. He was a sharecropper's son who grew up poor, didn't have hardly any things to look forward to, but he persevered, and he was able to go on to college, even though it was probably a few years after most people were going to college back in the 20s. And anyway, graduated from Union University down in Jackson, Tennessee, and then heard about a job up in Springfield. And he got on the train and came to Springfield and got off, and he wasn't even going to coach, I don't think. I think he was just planning on teaching. And then they had an opening for the Springfield High School football coach, and Coach got the job, or Coach Smith got the job, and first year, 1928, they had a losing season. That was the only season that they had a losing season. And then after that, he started racking up victories. But more importantly, I think with Coach Smith is that he not only was a tactician on the football field, but he was also a motivator. He took young men and molded them into being really good men. So, and he developed, I guess, a following. You know, he was so well thought of in the community. And you have to remember, back in 1928 to 1972, there wasn't internet.
No.
There wasn't cable TV or satellite TV.
Or buses to carry the kids to the ball games.
Yep.
Yeah.
You have to remember that too. The first few years that they were traveling to the likes of Nashville or Clarksville or Gallatin, they were
In the cars.
in cars.
Okay.
Coach would carry a load, I mean, you
Right.
couldn't do that today.
Oh,
No.
no.
No. But it's a snapshot. The Coach Boy Smith book, I think, is a snapshot on Springfield and Robeson County and Tennessee on the times that we're living in, and unfortunately how things have changed. Coach was all about sportsmanship. He won several awards for his sportsmanship. He was recognized and throughout Tennessee, actually throughout the country, as being one of the greatest high school football coaches in the country at that time.
That's the thing that I find fascinating, is the fact that he was known outside of this area.
All over.
And I just find that so interesting. That's why I'm so intrigued to read his story. I know my husband was an athlete. I mean, just one of those guys that football, basketball, track in high school.
Whatever's going on
and
at the
played
time.
through college. So, I mean, athleticism to him is just very important.
Yeah.
And so he's going to love this because, I mean, some of the most influential people in his life have been his coaches.
Right.
Hands down. And so
Yeah.
he will relate so well to this. So, happy Valentine's Day, honey. I'm going to get you a book. There you go. I'm going to get you a book for Valentine's
There
Day.
you go. Good
We're not
idea.
very good at Valentining. So, I'll get you a copy of the book, honey.
Can
So,
I tell you a little bit of something else about?
I tell you what, let me pause and take a break.
Okay.
Let me pause and take a break. We're going to reposition John because I can't see his lovely face because of the microphone. So I'm going to make sure you stay in the shot there, young man. And so hold your thought. And we will come right back, but I'm going to pause for just a second. I'll pause for just a second because it's so funny. John asked me, he goes, how many commercials are you going to do tomorrow? Well, I got to do 3, but we stay live. So it's just we talk live about our sponsors, and we're going to start with the Corbins. I love the Corbins. They're so much fun. I talk to Amy whenever I have concerns about how to do things, and I've said a lot, and I'm going to keep repeating this because I want to make sure all of you know that your evergreens, don't start cutting them back. We got hit with a polar vortex, at Christmas that really messed with them. I've got ivy, beautiful English ivy that looks pitiful right now. And I was really concerned I was going to have to cut it back. I've spent years growing this ivy up on my house. I love it. Some people think it's kind of weird, but I don't care. And, I like it. And but it looks awful right now. And so Amy told me, she goes, don't cut it down. Wait until spring. Let's see if it regrows. And if you'll scratch the stalk or the trunk of or stem or vine, you'll see a lot of times there's some green in under that, and that means it's still alive, and you've just got to give it a chance to come back. So she said, we really don't know how all the evergreens are going to react, but she says, hang on, don't start cutting on anything, and let spring, and we'll see what happens. And if you're going to plant a garden, now is the time to go talk to her. The bedding plants, Brian Pooley says he did all his bedding plants last year from Corbin. He said it's the best garden he ever had. And right now is the time to really start thinking about your winter vegetables, or your spring vegetables like lettuces and things like that they need to be going in the ground right now, the seeds and those kinds of things. So it's time. Go talk to them. Get on it. And now's a good time to go and visit with them because they're maybe not as busy. They're very busy getting on the bedding plants and all the things ready in the greenhouse, but you can go and talk to them about anything that you're concerned with, whether it be what you're going to grow in your garden, or if you need to have some information about CBD products that help me tremendously with my arthritis, and they may help you as well. And this is Robertson County CBD you can talk to them about. But they're on winter hours still, which is 10 to 4 Monday through Saturday, and Sunday from 1 to 4. But very soon they'll be extending those hours as soon as it warms up a little bit more. They're at 4920 Highway 161 in Springfield. You can call them at 615-384-3185, 615-384-3185. Always please let them know U-Turn sent you. And we are talking with my guests in the studio. Got Danny Atchley, Nancy Arnold, and my student, John Cohea, is here. And John, let's ask John real quickly. What made you so excited about Coach? Did you know about Coach before Nancy asked you to help with this? Were you aware of him?
Yes. My grandmother wanted to tell me a lot of memories about Coach Smith.
So your grandmother told you all about Coach Smith?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and so is some of that in the book then, Miss Nancy? Some of her memories? What was she? Okay, was she maybe one of his players?
Yes, she was.
Be
Oh,
a team picture.
oh my goodness! So your grandmother played for Coach?
Yes.
Oh my goodness!
We went to school together, in fact.
Oh my goodness!
we sure
Oh my
did.
goodness! That is wonderful. Is your grandma still with us?
Yes, ma'am.
So is her picture in that book? Oh, how exciting! I know you've got to be just thrilled for that. Any other family members that played for Coach?
My great uncle Billy Sweat.
Your great uncle did. Okay, did. Okay, played football. Because see, that's what was so fascinating is this man coached football and basketball, and that's back. You did that back then, but now, of course, you stick with one or the other.
Yeah.
We had a coach that I just loved, and he had to pick between the boys and the girls. He couldn't coach both. Because he was my coach, and then switched over and had to because the state made him decide you're going to do this one or that one. But this is back when we could do things a little differently,
Well, it was
and so many people were able to experience. What he had to give.
right.
So I love it. Anything else you want to add, John, before we hand it back to Miss Nancy?
No, ma'am.
Okay, well, if you have anything you want to add, you just grab the mic, okay? Right? Okay, absolutely.
He
So,
will.
absolutely. So what is it then that you were wanting to tell me, and we took a break? And so I hope I didn't mess up your thought process.
There is a section in the book of memories. People,
Oh, okay.
people who remembered. We Remember Coach is the title of it.
Okay.
And I went all over town
Uh-huh.
getting people to write a memory and send
Oh,
it
I
in
love
to
it.
me.
I
And
love it.
There was no. I just put them in the order that I received them,
Okay.
and I didn't get some from some I wish I had, but that's room for the next book.
You're just so gracious. You're like, oh, I know I didn't get this. And all. I mean, look at the work you did. Oh, my
Yeah,
goodness. This is amazing, Nancy.
It is
his,
incredible.
His grandmother, Wanda, I mean, helped me out with a memory. And I can remember it, so I don't have to find it in the book. But Coach would come down the school bus. They'd load up to go play basketball. Now, this is girls' team. And he wasn't even the coach, I don't think. I think he did agree to coach for them because they didn't have one.
Right.
And he would go down the aisle and pass out 50-cent piece to each girl so they could get a hot dog and a hamburger and a Coke after the game.
Oh.
Now 50 cents, that tells you how.
Oh, yeah. I was born in 62. So, and what's fascinating to me is the basketball teams, because, we went for a while, we didn't have girls basketball.
No, because it was not ladylike.
Well, see, but
I got into that when we researched. Oh, it was so good.
interesting.
It's a good story because somebody got hurt real bad in either around Clarksville and I'd like to know more about this if anybody out there knows. Somebody got hurt real bad, and a female, and they just said, it's too rough for girls, we're not going to do it.
Interesting, because see, my understanding, because I was fascinated to see that there were teams in the early 70s, because I don't know, I would love to see the timeline of how basketball was a thing for women early, and then it wasn't, and then it came back. Because my thought was, I started playing in 76, and they had only just started having girls basketball at my school, and I think 74, because they had tried to recruit me in junior high, because I was 6 foot in junior high.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You're the natural.
Yeah, and so they wanted me playing basketball the minute they brought women's basketball back to the school. And some of my friends did, but my daddy would not let me, because we had to wear the boys' old uniforms, and they were too short and they were indecent. And my daddy was like, no, ma'am, no, ma'am. And he was, no. And so once they got a more decent looking uniform, he allowed me to play. And but no, seriously, he thought that it was indecent.
Look at the uniforms from
I
1920.
know. That's fascinating. This is such a good book, you guys. Oh my goodness. If you like athleticism in any way, shape, form, or fashion, I don't care if you're from here, if you knew this man, if you know any of these people, you're going to want this, because it is just such a keepsake for people who understand the importance of athleticism in a young person's life and what it teaches them. Oh my goodness. What a cool thing. What a cool thing. I love this.
Well, another thing about Coach Smith was he taught the fundamentals. That was one of his biggest claims to fame.
My coach did too.
And he would, it was over and over and over again.
Yes.
And he taught the fundamentals. On the football field, it was tackling and blocking. And then, they used to call the Springfield Yellow Jackets 3 yards in a cloud of dust, because they would just march down the field.
3 yards in a cloud of dust. I like that.
And the fans knew that.
Yeah.
And the thing about it is, the MBAs and the Murfreesboros and the Clarksvilles and Gallatons and whoever, they'd come to Springfield, or Springfield would go down there, and they knew coming up that it wasn't going to be any real fancy plays or anything like that. It was going to be blocking and tackling, and they couldn't stop them. That was the amazing thing. Most of the teams that Coach Smith played against were always bigger schools. or at least equal in size. But he was able to hold his own. And one thing about Coach Smith, we mentioned, he was not only well known in Tennessee and the Southeast, but football coaches on the college level and even the pro level knew of Coach Smith. Bear Bryant would call him from time to time, ask him who he's got.
Oh,
or
my
General,
gosh.
General Nealon
That's
from
amazing.
UT would call, and he
Oh,
knew
my gosh.
all these icons in the Southeastern Conference, and they counted him as a friend. And they would ask him about, what about this coach, or what about that coach? What do you think? And so he was a wealth of knowledge. He
Oh,
truly
my
was.
goodness. I just can't wait to read this.
Coach was going to be, he wanted to be an engineer. That was his goal when he graduated, when he got out of high school in Mississippi, was he wanted to go play football, but he wanted to go to be an engineer. Well, I've decided he used his engineering degree, which he didn't get, because he got to Springfield and got to working and coaching and got busy. But that engineering inside of him came out, like building the stadium.
The Springfield High School football stadium. Springfield had one of the largest high school stadiums in Middle Tennessee, if not the largest. And I know because my father is the photograph in there of them working on the stands.
Yes.
All right. My father's in that group, and Coach Smith that summer, I think it was the summer of 1949 or 50. I think it was 49. Anyway, they added on to the Springfield High School stadium on the visitor side, and it was as big as the home side. Mostly high schools, you'd have a big big stands on the home side, but not so much on the visitor side. But Springfield had such a following that they needed a bigger stadium, and sure enough, they did. And I can remember when I was in high school, and we're talking about the 60s and early 70s, that we would fill that place up. There would be 20,000 people or 15,000 people sometimes there. It's incredible. So
I love it. I love it. This is so much fun. I'm so excited. What were you turning to? You've got something there you want to share?
Oh, I was trying to find the picture that he's talking about, and I have to remember what section it's in.
You were asking John. It's like, what page is that on? What page is that on? Okay, now
it's
you
a
know
pretty
what?
cool
We've been
photograph.
talking about
It's in
this.
this
In case, because sometimes we have people that can join the show for a few minutes and then they have to jump away. So we want to, a couple of times, let them know where they can get this. So where can they get this book? It's coming out tomorrow. How can I get my copy?
Well,
We've ordered some for the museum,
Okay.
but they'll be available on Amazon.
Okay.
All you got to do is, I just Googled, I went on Amazon and then typed in Coach Boy Smith, and it came up for me, but I
Okay.
don't know if that will or not
It should.
every
It should.
time. But we have the ISBN numbers and all that,
Yeah. I want to know who you published through. This is beautiful.
Well, I've done, this is the 5th book I've done with
Okay.
my brother-in-law.
Okay.
And he's busy now taking care of my sister.
Okay.
They're
talk about John Ed Garrett,
Okay.
Yeah.
class of
He went
1953.
to school and he was there with Coach in the early years, and he also taught and coached at Lytton and oh my goodness, ended up working at the Board of Education and worked there for years. So he followed all of these coaches, and he just talks in the section he wrote about football everywhere.
That's
And
cool.
other coaches and what they thought of Coach.
Yeah.
You know,
And let me just say this about Mr. Garrett, about John Ed. He and Nancy, they're the reason this book was put together. There's no doubt about it. I mean, we have a committee, the Coach Boy Smith Scholarship Fund, and headed up by Walter Kleinert. But it's Nancy and Ed that did this. They did a tremendous amount of work. I mean, you look at all the photographs, and they had to go through annuals and newspaper clippings, and then talk to different people, interview people to say, oh, is this so and so? Is this not so and so?
labor of love.
Yeah,
Well,
but it
oh,
was,
precious.
and everybody
Wonderful.
involved in the Coach Boy Smith Scholarship Fund that's involved, that's reason the book is being published, are graduates of Springfield High School, and the money that is raised from the sale of the book goes to the scholarship fund.
Every
and
penny.
every penny of it. It's a labor of love. They're not getting any royalties. They're not getting anything out of it other than the like she said, a labor of love.
I love it. Well, and you know, it's so funny because as somebody who writes and does things, that's why I wanted to know, who did you publish with the book? They did such a beautiful job of producing it.
I wanted to set it up where the scholarship fund, nobody had to handle the money.
Right.
So it goes straight from the publisher to the account.
Okay. Well, very good. Well, no, I just am very because we publish through Amazon now, and this doesn't look like an Amazon publication.
Well, this is not Amazon.
Yeah,
this
that's
is
what I'm saying.
Ingram Spark.
There you go. That's what I was looking for. I was looking for the name of the publisher
Yeah.
because I'm curious because they did an excellent job.
Ingram Spark is who I work through.
Ingram Spark. Get your on that micro. Ingram Spark. They did an excellent job publishing this. This is beautiful.
It's a good company. It's a little difficult to work around sometimes, but if you do everything you're supposed to do right, it'll go right through. If the graphic designer fixes the file right, it'll go.
They did
right
it's an excellent
and
job.
very reasonable.
Excellent
The reason
excellent
they did
job.
such
Very
a good
reasonable.
job is because of Nancy and her hard work on putting everything together.
So are you for hire as a graphic artist?
I tell you what, she's good. She's as good as anybody I've ever
retired.
worked with.
Oh, you're funny. I'm just messing with you. I'm just teasing. I tell you what, let's go ahead and take my next break, and we'll pause and reset, and we'll come back with my guests. We're talking with Danny Atchley, Nancy Arnold, and John Cohea, all about this book that comes out tomorrow, Coach Boy Smith. And if I knew nothing about this man until my student, John, mentioned him to me in class, and I was like, what? And so the more I learn, the more I know that I want to know this man's story, and I think you're going to be extremely blessed by it. Let's go ahead and talk about my friends Barry and Rebecca Richards with the Exit Realty Garden Gate team. Friends here in Robertson County. They live up in Cross Plains. They've been there for over 20 years. They know Robertson County. They specialize in Robertson County properties, but they also buy and sell in the surrounding counties and across the state line in Kentucky. Now, I met them at the Kilgore Station Bluegrass Festival, which is coming up, and it's going to be the third weekend in May. We'll talk more about that as we get closer in. And you'll be able to see them there. They'll sit around the table with you. They're one of the sponsors of the festival. But, you can have that same attention, that same one-on-one conversation with them anytime. Just call them. And they would be glad to come in and sit down and talk to you about property. Maybe you've listed and nobody has given it any attention. Well, do you have the pictures you need? Do you have some drone footage? You can get that now and let people see what's going on around them before they come and check out your property. You could have people walk through the home without having to walk through the home. That really became popular during COVID. But you can sometimes sell properties from other states. It's amazing the way they can package it, and it's because Barry's a marketer. He came out of a marketing career. Rebecca was one of the first in the area to be a seniors real estate specialist. They've been at this a long time. They do it well. They're good friends, and if you want to connect with them, go to sellwithbecky.com, sellwithbecky.com, or buy, B-U-Y, robertsoncounty.com, or better yet, why don't you just call Rebecca? Her number is 615-504-7425, 615-504-7425. Call them today. And where do we want to go next, y'all? We've talked about the particulars of it, but what is something that you want to make sure people do not miss in this book? Miss Nancy, is there something that you're like, oh, be sure and spend a minute with this? Is there one particular thing that you think, man, that's just really cool?
I think Ed's section that he wrote.
Okay.
Because I'm not a football, whatever,
aficionado.
And Ed just wrote this from his own knowledge of being there.
Okay.
And and plus he dug back and found some football players that were at Springfield that, like Minus Gordy, that played early on that would have spread the word. One thing that I'm curious, I'm full of more questions than I am answers about the book, because it just opened the door to a lot of things.
Yeah.
One thing is, I heard that the football field, when it was People's Tucker School, ran north and south. And then when they built the new gym and all that, they turned the football field east and west.
Oh.
Yeah.
And one of the corners was like 9 feet lower than the other corners. The
Oh, the redo, you mean?
well,
The original?
They were working on it, you know.
Yeah.
And Coach was an engineer. He had had the knowledge of wanting to be an engineer. And they finally got the rocks up off of the field. I mean, all of that's in the book.
Yeah.
The rocks up, they would carry rocks off of the field to keep from running over them and hurting themselves, you know. But
Oh, how
And he
far we
was-
have come.
Yeah.
he
I mean,
was, oh yeah,
Oh, yes.
I mean, he actually did the work on the field. He wouldn't even allow a lot of people to work on the field.
I bet he put some of his young football players out there and said, hey, help me move these rocks.
He would.
Good conditioning.
One of the memories was they had post hole diggers, but no, we had to dig them by hand. you know.
Yes.
Bill
Well,
Jones.
Bill Jones talked about that.
I heard that.
Yeah, Bill
on that
Jones
show.
talked about that.
Yeah.
That's funny because he said because he wanted to get him in condition, and so
Yeah.
they would have them dig the holes and
That was
put
the
the
way to
poles
do
in.
it. That
And I
was-
got so tickled. I thought we live on
Basic.
we live on Carr's Creek, and one of my disciplines for my children, if they misbehave, they had to go pick up rocks at the creek and bring them and put them in my landscape. So my landscape all the way around my house is covered in rocks. It's when they were in trouble.
Well, I bet they're beautiful.
Yeah, but you know what I mean, and I love that because it sounds like he had kind of the same thought process. Let's let these boys pick up these. I mean, I'm just guessing, but if he's
No,
from what Bill said,
Yeah.
it sounds like he was the same type of person. It's like we need this work done on the field. Let's get these boys
Yeah.
to dig
Well,
some post holes. And
he started
and-
a day camp.
Yeah.
I mean, they.
Okay, well, that's what Bill. Yeah.
Yeah, that's in. I didn't write a lot about that because it gets off on another.
Sure.
I chase rabbits a lot.
Yeah.
And
If they got a lot of meat on them, how can you help? You know, I mean, it's like.
Well, Coach Smith
You know.
also was kind of the sports director or parks and recreation director before there was such a position in Springfield.
Yeah.
Unofficially, he employed some of his football team members to help out different things at the school and on the football field, and maybe some of the ball fields that were scattered around town. Also, of course, the Springfield Municipal Swimming Pool was
Oh, yeah.
that fell under his purview.
Really?
He was
Yeah.
responsible for that. And we had one of the
Mr.
nicest swimming pools that's located just below the old Springfield High School, down on Connell Street or off Connell Street, that I would go to when I was a little boy, and he was responsible for that. And that was built by the city of Springfield, and then they more or less turned it over to Coach Smith, and he managed it for years and years and years, and back until about the time it closed.
What happened to that place? What's there now?
the pool,
Well,
nothing. There's nothing there. They
No,
they
they-
filled it in.
They filled it in.
Okay.
The YMCA came to Springfield, and by that time, municipal pools were on the way out.
Okay.
But during the 50s and 60s and 70s, it was a place to go.
Yeah,
So,
Okay.
it was.
yeah.
Interesting.
Mr. Koss was a teacher at Springfield High School,
Mm-hmm.
and he also helped coach.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Assistant coach.
As much as coach would let him help, you know. And he was the one at the swimming pool that took care of everything. I think it opened in '51, but I don't know the year it closed.
I
but
can't
I
tell you the
found
year
out
it closed, but yeah, you're right
From
about
his
51.
daughter, coach's daughter, it opened in '51. So
Okay.
that's pretty
And
good.
we want to point out too, Nancy worked closely with the Smith family. They've been involved in this.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So why don't you say, why don't you
So
say,
much to
why don't you
say.
say a few words
So much
about
to
that,
say.
Nancy?
I love it.
What started this whole thing? I mean, not started the whole thing. We had the notes and we had
Uh-huh.
the tape. But on October the 2nd, 2021, an article came out in the Tennessean about Boyce Smith.
Okay.
And I'm like, that's our coach's great grandson.
Oh. Okay. Okay.
So Ed and I got to talking, and I said, let's put that in the front of the book because that introduces. Ed is a history nut, and he starts out with Well, you'll see all this other
Oh,
stuff in here,
fun.
the Greek wars and stuff, which is interesting. But I wanted to start out with Coach, and this really brought it right up in front of us. There's a picture on page VII that has Coach, and then his son, and then next to them is his son, and then that's Boyce. And all 4 of them are Boyce.
Oh,
Boyce
wow.
Smith.
Yeah.
But they named the last one James Boyce. And really, I don't know if they knew it or not, but when I did the family tree, which is in the book, their Coach's great-grandfather's name was James Boyce.
Oh, wow. Huh.
So
Oh,
it's just
wow.
it's just been fun.
Yeah.
It's
I
just
bet. What a fun
We-
family.
We thought we knew
What a
quite a
fun
bit
family.
about Coach Smith, but when you start peeling away the layers of time, you realize, oh gosh, well I didn't know that. Well, isn't that interesting?
Isn't that
How
interesting?
he did
Oh,
that.
no,
Nancy's just uncovered all kinds of stuff that
Okay.
most people had no idea.
There's a lot more.
And
Just-
John's grabbed the microphone. What you got for us, John?
Are we going to put this up at Greenbrier to tell them about they have the book about a great man?
Oh, yes, absolutely, we can. As a matter of fact, I mean, we'll talk about it in class. I'll get a copy of it, and we'll talk about it, and I'll have it there in the room. But as soon as we're maybe when we get back from spring break, we can do a little audio video story on it. I don't know that we can get it done immediately because we're still working on Black History Month and trying to set up the studio. But we'll even do something on this. We'll get somebody to help us do a story on it there, because we're going to start the audio video class as we're continuing to put it all together. We're going to have a feature once a week that will just kind of tell the story, what's going on in Greenbrier. And we can make this something that we feature, absolutely, even though it is a Springfield Yellow. The Springfield Yellow Jackets is going to, because it's a rival.
Yeah.
So, you got to be careful about that rivalry.
Yeah, well,
but we'll,
Greenbrier,
go ahead and pull that down.
especially with Greenbrier.
Yeah.
Well,
so that we might get a little pushback, John, about that Springfield rivalry with Greenbrier. So we'll have to tread carefully.
I'll tell this story real
uh-huh.
quick. And of course, Springfield wouldn't play Greenbrier in football because they were a smaller division school.
Okay.
And that was
They were beneath them.
That would not. Well, I'm not going to say that, but
I'm being
because Greenbrier
silly.
had. Well, I know you. I know
teasing.
you. But Greenbrier had some great teams during this era as well. But Springfield was a bigger school, and they didn't play the Greenbriers or the Joe Burns or the East Robertsons. But anyway, I say all that to say this. But when I was underclassman, I was on the B team, and anyway, we scrimmaged Greenbrier High School.
Okay.
And that was allowed, and we did that one day, one afternoon, and I don't even remember. We didn't keep score; it was just a scrimmage, but we did do that when I was in high school.
Okay.
So
Something was mentioned in comments too about your dad. Remind me who because they said, was your dad a coach or a player or what?
my
was
dad
your dad's
was
tie to this?
CB Atchley, and he was one of Coach Smith's boys.
Okay.
Coach Smith was a surrogate father to my
Okay.
dad. He thought the world of him, and in fact, interesting story. My dad, of course, was a little bit over 6 feet tall, and weighed about 220 pounds when he was in high school. So he was a big guy on the football team. He played fullback the years that he played for Coach Smith. And this is like 1948 to 1950. I say that to say this, but he learned so much from Coach Smith, and then later on in life he became the Parks and Recreation Director. He was the very first Parks and Recreation Director for the
Really?
city of Springfield.
Okay.
He was responsible for the
Like
center
Terry.
being built, and anyway, so exactly like Terry. My dad started to that position, and then Leslie Dean succeeded him after my dad passed away, and then Terry is doing a great job. Terry
yeah.
Martin, we're talking
Yeah,
about,
yeah.
a dear friend.
Hollywood.
Yeah,
He's been in the movies
He's been
now.
in the movies, but
He's been in the movies now. He's Hollywood.
but my dad was a pretty good football player, and he went to Knoxville. He didn't finish there, but he went to UT, and anyway, he came back to Springfield after his military career, and then he followed he followed Springfield High School religiously. My dad worked for Cumberland Electric back in the late 50s and 60s, and he would take his lunch hour during the fall where he could go and watch them practice.
Oh,
That's the truth. Now, I can remember seeing him down there watching them practice. Now, he wouldn't do anything. He'd take his lunch and go sit in the stands.
but he loved it.
But he loved it.
He loved it.
And also,
Cool.
I can say this too. My dad never, and the guys that played for Coach Smith, you never heard them boo. If they were in the audience watching a
There you
Springfield
go.
High School football game, if it was a play that didn't go Springfield's way, they just sat there on their hands and they didn't boo and they
Respect.
didn't. That it was respect. You're
They were
exactly right.
respect.
And that's what Coach Smith instilled in his players was respect, and that's why he was such a proponent of good sportsmanship, and that's why he was recognized for
love
that.
it.
And that's one of the good things about the book is it talks about sportsmanship.
I love that. I love that. I just wanted you to say a little something about your daddy since he was mentioned in the comments. And you did mention Cumberland Electric. So, hey, let's go ahead and do our last ad real quick since that, that's how we just kind of segue all that
Nice
stuff in.
segue. Had
He
no
said
idea.
he said Cumberland Electric. So, hey, let's just go ahead and let's get our last ad in there. And this is really, I'm just so excited about this because if you're a Cumberland Electric customer, guys, you're going to have access to high-speed internet. I've got it now. I've got a gig in my house. Yes, I know I don't need a gig. According to my children, I don't need a gig, but I've got one, and high-speed internet is wonderful. And here's the thing: if you're somebody that can't afford internet, they've got a affordable connectivity program now, providing qualifying households with a monthly credit to help pay for internet services. And if you're eligible, you may qualify to receive a credit of up to $30 per month toward broadband services. And they've got all kinds of packages that include TV, that include everything that you need for all that you want in your home. And so if you want to know more, they have even workshops you can go to. And all you have to do to connect is call them at 1-800-987-2362, 1-800-987-2362, or you can go to cumberlandconnect.org, cumberlandconnect.org. If you put in your address and you are a Cumberland Electric customer and you're like, well, when are they going to get to me? Put in your address, and that will give you the full rundown of when to expect it. And here's how it works. First, they'll put the line, they'll bring the lines in, they'll be on your utility pole. Then they'll show up, and they'll connect to your house. And then you make an appointment, and then they come in, and they set it up, and they're just wonderful. I had to call customer service the other day because I'm looking at getting an extender maybe to see if I can get it in my outbuildings, and couldn't be nicer. Just a wonderful, wonderful way to get your family connected. Cumberland Connect. If you are a Cumberland Electric customer, you're going to want this. Get in touch with them today, and when you do, please always let them know their ad dollars are working. They're one of our full-time sponsors now, and let them know U-Turn sent you. All right, guys, we've got 8 minutes. How are we going to wrap this thing up?
Well, we've got 2 books available. I mean, one of them is a paperback.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And, well, I just don't have a sample. Ed's got that one.
Okay.
So, wrap it up.
Well, let's see. When will we have books at the museum? Because they haven't come
That's
in
a very
yet.
good question.
Yeah, because I don't want people coming to the museum tomorrow on
No,
Wednesday.
they won't be there. We'll have to. We just got to do that.
Yeah, yeah.
Give them a minute.
Yeah.
Give them a minute.
Anyway,
So-
the book
They
book
can order 'em.
is let's clarify that just a little bit. The book is finished.
Okay.
The book is ordered, but the books
Okay.
are not where people can purchase them other than they can go online at Amazon.
Amazon.
Yeah.
They can.
So-
You can get both of them on Amazon.
Yeah. But
right now.
but we will have them available
Today,
in the
tomorrow.
gift shop
Starting tomorrow, you can buy them.
in the-
That's the release date.
in the coming days, probably
Okay.
a week or maybe something like that. But we do have them on order, and we should be getting them in, like I said, hopefully in the next several days.
Will
So
you have both the hard copy and the?
we will have both,
in-
yes.
In paperback. Okay.
Right.
Very
and
good.
we'll be able to take orders as well. If we
Okay.
don't have the book in, we'll be able to take an order, and then when it comes in. And this is part of the Historical Society. This is a kind of, and we want to really compliment the Historical Society because they've been behind this
Oh, gosh.
all the way.
Mm-hmm.
Nancy's spent
When I
hours
needed
and
a-
hours.
If
Go
I
ahead.
needed a printout, I would just take it up there to Janet, and she would print it. Well, that's 300, almost 300 pages front and
You
back.
bet.
Yeah.
So that can get expensive, and
bet.
I'm just retired, so
Yeah.
3 times I think I had her to print it out.
Well, because
And,
it's so much easier, I write, and to be able to, when you do it digitally, there's just something different
Oh,
about
there's-
taking it and sitting down with it and going, no, and making
Things
notes.
Yeah.
It just
Oh, yeah.
is a different method, and it works differently. And yes, I do digital editing, but there's nothing to be said for also doing a hard copy print edit
Right.
and
Right.
making notes in the.
Well, that's the way we did
Yeah,
when I worked at
absolutely.
Lifeway.
Yeah.
And,
Oh, yeah.
You know, it's proof that you did it and all that.
Yeah.
You know, check them off.
You
But,
were at Lifeway.
just amazing.
I love Lifeway. I didn't know you worked at Lifeway. I love Lifeway. They're awesome.
Nancy's had a
I
pretty
worked there
varied
40
career.
years.
Oh my goodness!
Freelance, and
Oh,
when I was
love
there
it.
17 full time, but
Oh.
40 off and on
Oh bless.
from early 60s.
Oh, I'm sure I bought a lot of stuff that you had association with then, because they get a lot of my money. Well, and just a real chase a rabbit. Lifeway comes in and films at our church often because we have a sound stage, and they come in and they use our facility, and we just love it when they're there. Huh?
Eddie Beller?
Madison Church of Christ.
Okay.
Yeah, they use the Madison Church of Christ facility because we have a studio facility.
Yeah.
And so they come in and use our basically our sound stage,
Okay.
you know, and just repurpose. Oh, it's just wonderful. But yeah, we love Lifeway.
The
It's so
video
good.
people were down the hall from the art department, but
Okay.
I got to see them sometimes.
See-
Eddie Beller worked over there for a long time.
So I don't
He's
know.
a local person.
Okay.
Well, his daddy painted a lot of signs around.
Oh, I
town.
know exactly who you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yes. I didn't realize he was there too.
He helped us finish up.
What a small world. I love
He
it.
put the website on our mural out on the high school, which is
Okay.
CoachBoySmith.com.
Okay.
And you can go visit that. Of course, we've got to get the book on there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's cool. That's wonderful.
Well, again, that mural is kind of the catalyst for everything that came after it, and the book is probably the most important thing, I think, because people had said for years and years, boy, Coach Smith, I wish somebody'd write a book about him.
Well, there
I've
you
heard that
go.
all my life.
Oh, my goodness.
I wish somebody'd write a book about him because he was so famous and did so much in the community and was so well respected. Well, guess what?
It's there.
Here it is.
There you go.
It came about.
I love it.
And another thing too, Laverne, is you could fill up your vacancies for people to speak on your radio show with dozens and dozens and dozens of men and women that played for Coach Smith or knew Coach Smith. So, I mean, again,
I'll-
a lot of first-person people that people from Springfield, I'm sure would be glad to come in and tell you a Coach Smith story. Everybody's got one,
if you
myself
have
included.
something you want to share, and you're like, man, I just want people to know this happened with Coach, reach out to me. You can message me. My phone number is 615-594-7736, 615-594-7736. Text me. Please don't call me, especially right now because it'll ring on the air. But text me and let me know, and we'll get you on schedule to bring you in here. I'd love to hear some stories. It's because we promote this and let people know about it, because I love hearing these stories that just remind us how we all act.
Well, one thing about Coach, too, a lot of people don't know this, and I didn't find it out really till much later. Coach Smith, back in the 40s, he helped support Branchford High School's football team. He would take equipment that he had at Springfield High School. Maybe it was equipment that out of date or whatever, but he would take it to Branchford and help them, and he was very, very, very well respected in the African American community his whole career. He truly reached. He opened doors and he reached across the aisle. Let's put it that way.
Awesome.
He was
Mr. Jameson tells that memory about him
Ted Jameson. Yes.
bringing equiment to
Over
his
to Bransford.
porch.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah,
for the football
because
boys.
his dad
Pads
was one of the
and stuff.
coaches at the time.
That's
for Bransford.
awesome.
So,
Very interesting.
I love
Yeah.
it. John, do you have any parting thoughts as we get ready to wrap this up? He's been just so sweet to be a part of this
he
morning.
certainly has.
Just order this book about this incredible, amazing Coach Boy Smith.
Very
So
good.
absolutely.
Very
So
good.
order this
Thank you,
book
John.
and learn about the amazing Coach Boy Smith, and
Oh,
and we
good.
will, John. I promise you, we'll be talking about it in class, even though it is a Springfield rivalry. We just have to get beyond it, right?
Yeah.
We're going to have to.
Got
You've
some
got Go ahead and get on that microphone for me,
You
Nancy.
got some Greenbrier people
I noticed
in
that.
the early teams. So
Yes, I saw it. Yeah. So it's all encompassing, and that's one thing why we were telling the story of the play is because it's Bransford and it's Robertson County, and it talks about the county as a whole, and it's that county pride that you have. And we just remind you as we're heading out here, the play that we talked about that we started with about Miss Lena and Mr. Patterson is opening Thursday night. It's Thursday, Friday, and Saturday night at 7 at Innovation Academy. Sunday matinee at 2. Do your best to be at this. It's a $15 ticket, I think, if you go through
For adult,
Eventbrite
yeah.
or at the door. And students, all you got to do is pay what you can. You want to go to this play, just whatever you can afford. And I'll talk to our theater teacher, make sure his people know about it, because this would be
Please
something
do.
great
Yep.
for a theater student to come and be a part of. And I mean, whatever you can afford,
Yeah.
just
And we've
and
got
it's going to be awesome.
got
It's gonna be
several
awesome.
hundred kids coming in Thursday morning, and
Eighth graders, right?
eighth
Get a
graders,
preview of
and
it,
they're
yeah.
not being charged. It's free to them.
Awesome. And they're going to videotape it.
Yep.
So we're so excited about that. And
Yep.
as on the way out, I've got to give you the reading for today. We're reading through the Bible in a year. And today, February 14th, we're still in Leviticus, y'all. Let's hang on. I'm having to do Leviticus audio because, it's hard. But Leviticus 24 through 25 is where we are today in Psalms 37 through 38. Leviticus 24 through 25, Psalms 37 through 38. Reach out to Bethlehem Baptist if you want to get the daily, or almost daily. Rachel gets as many of them as she can, and she has this great insight that she shares. And she will be here Friday with Gwen, and we'll be talking about all the things. But I appreciate so much you guys joining me. I'll be talking about the book. We'll keep talking about the play.
Thank you.
John. I
Thank
will
you.
see you in class in
Thank
a
you.
short time. I'll see you in class. So awesome. So glad to see you, and so glad to have you guys join us here on One Street Over. Now, you know that this is the day after the school board meeting. Normally, Dr. Chris Causey's here. He had something out of the county today. He's going to be on tomorrow. So we'll be visiting with Dr. Chris Causey tomorrow to get the update on the school board meeting. Thank you for being a part of what we're doing here. This is 1100 WSGI. God bless. Have a wonderful day.